You're listening to a podcast by the Perennial Leader Project. Welcome back to another episode of Dying Every Day, Stoicism in a Year. Today is day 5, and we're exploring the, quote, truth or wisdom of connection through a passage from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Keep reminding yourself of the way things are connected, or their relatedness. All things are implicated in one another and in sympathy with each other. This event is the consequence of some other one. Things push and pull on each other and breathe together and are one. Everything is interwoven, and the web is holy. None of its parts are unconnected. They are composed harmoniously, and together they compose the world. One world, made up of all things, one divinity, present in them all. One substance and one law, the logos that all rational beings share. And one truth. If this is indeed the culmination of one process, beings who share the same birth, the same logos. And this passage is adapted from 6.38 and 7.9 of Meditations. Interestingly, like Marcus Aurelius, we need consistent reminders about all sorts of eternal truths. Things like our own mortality, impermanence, interconnectedness, and the list goes on. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations is an example of someone intentionally reminding themselves of what matters and of wise perspectives about the world. He wrote to himself, "Meditate often on the interconnectedness and mutual interdependence of all things in the universe." How often do you, quote, meditate on the interconnectedness of all things? If you're like me, not as often as you should. It's not because I don't want to or don't believe it to be a wise practice. The truth is, I simply forget. You might say this podcast or Stoicism in a Year project is simply a series of reminders for myself, but hopefully for you as well. The ancient Stoic practice of memento mori literally translates from Latin to remember death. But our mortality is not the only thing we need to remember or be reminded of. We need to remember the, quote, truth of connection. It's worth contemplating how this idea or eternal truth of connection might change how you see yourself, others, and the world around you. Here's how Seneca put it in a letter to Lucilius. "Nothing is good or bad for us alone. We live in common. Nor can anyone live happily if he only cares for his own advantage. You must live for another if you would live for yourself." Thank you for listening to Dying Every Day, Stoicism in a Year. I hope you found something useful for daily life. If you enjoy what we're doing here and want to support the project, consider becoming a Perennial Meditations member. And finally, as always, I urge you to put what you heard into practice. Until next time, be wise and be well.